When you're in your golden years and someone of the opposite sex suddenly treats you really well. Here are the four most common reasons why, and number three hits hard. Let's talk about something that a lot of people don't like to admit, but almost everyone in their later years either knows about, has experienced, or is bound to encounter eventually. Have you ever been in this situation? You're older now, your 60s, 70s, maybe even your 80s. You've settled into your routine. Maybe your spouse has passed on. Maybe you've lived alone for a while. Your life is calm and predictable. Then suddenly, seemingly out of nowhere, someone from the opposite sex starts showing you an unusual amount of attention. They call you regularly, always checking in, asking how you're doing, if you've eaten, if you're feeling lonely. They might start dropping off meals, offering to run errands, picking up your prescriptions, or just sitting and chatting for hours like they've got all the time in the world. And, of course, they often say something like, "You shouldn't have to be all alone at this age." Now that may sound like caring, and maybe it is, but sometimes, far too often, this is actually the beginning of a very old, very rehearsed, and very dangerous playbook. It's the warm-hearted act just before the trap gets set. And if you're not careful, you could end up handing over not just your trust, not just your affection, but your financial security too. Let me put this in perspective for you. In the last few years, especially since the COVID-19 pandemic, reports of emotional and financial scams targeting older adults have surged. According to a U.S. elder protection study published in 2023, over 47,000 cases of romantic or emotionally manipulative scams involving seniors were reported in a single year. Total damages? Over $3.2 billion. That's billion with a B. And many of these heartbreaking stories started the exact same way. Someone suddenly became just a little too nice, a little too helpful, a little too attentive. Statistically, 1 in 10 seniors over 65 have either experienced or narrowly escaped an emotional scam. So today, I want to talk plainly with you. If someone of the opposite sex suddenly shows up in your life and starts giving you a lot of attention, especially in your later years, there are usually four possible reasons why. Whether you've got a fat pension or just your Social Security check, this matters. Watch carefully or read closely, because while kindness is beautiful, manipulation disguised as kindness can be devastating. So let's dive in. Reason number one, they're looking for a companion or a meal ticket. There's nothing wrong with companionship. Let me be clear about that. We all crave connection. After all, isn't that what people say? That young couples are for love, but old age needs a partner? And that's true. Take my neighbor, Mr. Harold Peterson. He's 74 now. His wife of 51 years passed away 5 years ago. Since then, Harold's become quiet, more withdrawn. The man used to mow his lawn religiously, joke with the mailman, bake cookies for the block during Christmas. But since his wife passed, you mostly just see him sitting on the porch, staring out at the trees. One day, Harold joined a gentle yoga class at the senior center. There, he met a woman named Carol. She's 68, a retired art teacher, and recently divorced. They hit it off. Now they shop together, take walks around the lake, even post photos on Facebook with little heart emojis. And honestly, it's lovely. Carol once told me, "People think we get too old to fall in love again. But all I want is someone I can talk to. Someone who knows what it's like to wake up and not have anyone waiting for you in the kitchen." That's genuine. That's mutual. That's healthy. But not everyone is like Carol. If the other person's first questions are about your income, your insurance, how many kids you have, and more importantly, how involved they are, how many homes you own, and how much money you've got socked away in savings, then it's not a companion they're looking for. It's a sponsor. A life partner will ask you how your day was. A scammer will ask if your name is the only one on the deed to your house. So don't be afraid of love. But don't ignore the red flags either. Reason number two, shared interests or just a setup. A lot of older adults these days are far more vibrant and involved than past generations. They're taking dance classes, painting, singing in choirs, hiking, traveling the world, even joining online dating apps. Why not? Life doesn't stop at retirement. Let's take Miss Dorothy Green. She's 71, sprightly, independent, and an incredible calligrapher. She started taking brush lettering at the local adult education center and ended up meeting John, a fellow calligraphy enthusiast, recently retired from the Postal Service. At first, it was all very creative. They exchanged poems, submitted artwork to exhibits, even co-hosted a virtual seminar for beginners. It looked sweet. It looked promising. Until John started suggesting they go into business together. He offered to sell Dorothy's artwork through his online shop, asked her to front some money for supplies, and eventually suggested she take out a small loan in her name just until we get our first big sale. See what happened? The shared interest, the calligraphy, the classes was real. But for John, it was a doorway, a pretext, a way to build trust, so he could open up her wallet later. This is the hardest kind of manipulation to spot, because it doesn't start with lies, it starts with real connection. Then slowly it turns. A true friend who shares your hobby will never ask you to risk your savings, mortgage your home, or loan the money to get through a rough patch. So enjoy your hobbies. Find joy with like-minded people. But always ask yourself, is this person investing in me or in what I can give them? Reason number 3, they're after your bank account, and this hurts the most. This is the one that stings, because it isn't just about being tricked. It's about being used when all you wanted was love. A lot of older adults say, why would someone target me? I'm not rich. I just get my pension and a little social security. But think about this. If you get $2,000 a month and you're not in debt, you own your home, even a small one, and you've got $25,000 to $50,000 saved, that's more money and more stability than some people will ever have. And for someone who sees older adults as easy targets, that's all they need to see. Let me tell you a real story. Well, names change for privacy. Mr. Edward Lawson, 68, lives in Des Moines, Iowa. He lost his wife to cancer 10 years ago. Edward is a gentle soul, soft-spoken, sweet, and always polite. He still keeps a photo of his wife on the mantle, fresh flowers beside it every week. Then a woman named Amanda started visiting his church. She was 38, said she was a single mother going through a tough time. She began helping Edward with groceries, folding laundry, walking his dog. She called him sweetheart. Then honey. Then yes, husband. He was touched. He believed. He bought her a new iPhone. Then sent her $600 for her daughter's school fees. Then added her to his bank account. 3 months later, Amanda disappeared. So did Edward's savings. And when he told his daughter what had happened, he didn't cry over the money. He said, I just really thought she loved me. I believed her when she called me her husband. It's not the scam that breaks you. It's the betrayal. So don't underestimate what you have. Someone else already has their eye on it. Reason number 4, they genuinely want to help, but you still have to stay sharp. Now, we're not here to say every kind-hearted soul is running a con. There are absolutely people who help simply because they care. And sometimes, yes, they're of the opposite sex. Like Mr. Thomas Reed. After a mild stroke, he struggled with mobility. His neighbor, Mrs. Joan Miller, 70, started bringing him meals and tidying up his apartment. She said, Tom's a good man. He deserves a little help. When Tom asked if she wanted to be more than friends, Joan laughed. Please, she said, I've already been married. Twice. I just want to help where I can. There are people like Joan. But there are also those who pretend to be Joan until they start living in your home rent-free, limiting your phone calls to your kids, or pressuring you to change your will. So even if someone seems kind, observe their consistency. Time reveals true motives. 3 pieces of real advice for our elders. Let me wrap this up with 3 truths. Honest words to help you live with clarity, protect your heart, and walk forward with peace. 1. Better alone than badly entangled. Don't rush into companionship just because you're lonely. Take your time. Observe. If something feels off, don't ignore it. 2. Actions speak louder than sweet talk. Anyone can say, I care about you. But what do they do for you? And how do they treat the people around you? Do they respect your boundaries? Your children? 3. When in doubt, talk to your kids or someone you trust. Don't let pride or embarrassment stop you. Your children may not always say much, but that doesn't mean they don't care. They want you safe, even if they don't always show it perfectly. In the words of the Tang Dynasty poet Li Shangyin, the sunset is infinitely beautiful, but it is, after all, near dusk. But let me tell you this, dusk can still be warm, comforting, full of golden light. As long as you protect your heart, stay alert, and surround yourself with real care, not illusions, you can still sip tea at sunset and feel the sweet, slow richness of a life well lived. So yes, go ahead, love in your old age. Laugh. Open your heart. Just make sure you've got your eyes open too. And always, always remember, when someone gets close, you should still know why. Let there be light in your eyes, steadiness under your feet, and wisdom in your soul. You've earned that. I'm 68 and widowed for many years. Now I'm looking for a companion, just a few simple requests. Is that too much to ask? I'm 68 years old. My wife passed away over a decade ago after a long illness. She was, without exaggeration, an incredible woman, graceful, thoughtful, incredibly kind, and the type of partner anyone would be lucky to have. We had an exceptionally strong and loving bond, the kind that doesn't come around often in one lifetime. Her early departure left a hole in my heart that, for a long time, I didn't believe would ever begin to heal. After she passed, well-meaning friends, neighbors, and even some extended family members tried to introduce me to women they thought might be good company for me. But I turned every one of them down. I wasn't interested in seeing anyone. Not then. I had made up my mind that I'd live the rest of my life alone. No new relationships, no remarriage, not even a live-in companion. Why? There were two major reasons. First, I couldn't get over the memory of my late wife. Every time I thought about dating someone else, it just felt wrong, like I'd be betraying her memory. I couldn't accept another woman in her place. It didn't feel fair to her or to me. Second, I was worried that a new relationship could complicate things, especially when it came to money and property. I didn't want to go through the stress of figuring out who owns what, or God forbid, end up in a legal dispute with someone I invited into my life at a vulnerable time. So yes, I had fully braced myself for a solitary retirement, a life filled with books, walks, the occasional chat with neighbors, maybe gardening if my knees allowed. I even told myself it was noble to spend my golden years alone, carrying my memories with quiet dignity. But let's be honest, loneliness is not noble. It's heavy. It creeps in when the house is quiet. It wakes you up at night when you reach over to the other side of the bed and there's no one there. It settles into your chest when you cook for one, when you eat dinner without conversation, when you sit silently on the porch with only the wind for company. Eventually, I admitted to myself that I couldn't beat the loneliness. It gnawed at me day after day. I started to think, maybe, just maybe, it wouldn't be so bad to have someone not to replace my wife, never that, but someone to walk through the rest of life with, someone to talk to over morning coffee, someone to share the little things, like grocery shopping or watching old movies on the couch. So, I made up my mind to look for a female companion, not necessarily a wife, just someone compatible, a kindred spirit. I figured if we could keep things simple, maybe it could work. I had only 3 conditions, none of which I thought were unreasonable. She should be pleasant looking. I mean, attraction matters. I'm not asking for a movie star, but I'd like to enjoy looking at the person I live with. That's human nature, right? She should be tidy and industrious. I'll be honest, I'm not great with house chores. Never have been. So I appreciate a woman who keeps things in order, someone who enjoys cooking, cleaning, and just making a house feel like a home. No marriage certificate, just cohabitation. I don't want legal entanglements. I've seen too many older folks get into disputes over wills, properties, savings accounts. I want us to share our lives, not our legal obligations. With those 3 expectations, I met my first companion. Let's call her Linda. She was a retired high school teacher from upstate New York. Lovely skin, refined features, and a gentle elegance that made her seem younger than her years. She was calm, articulate, graceful, everything you'd hope for in a life partner. From the moment we met, I was smitten. Her voice was soft, her laugh warm. She seemed to genuinely enjoy my company. liked my sense of humor, said I had a charming way with words. And she appreciated how generous I was. Because truth be told, I do like to spoil someone I care about. During the time we dated, I covered every meal, every outing, every little getaway. From brunches at cozy cafes to strolls in the botanical gardens, she never had to open her wallet. On holidays, I'd give her carefully chosen gifts and thoughtful red envelopes with cash inside. I wanted her to feel special, and I made sure she did. Before long, we were officially a couple. She moved into my home in southern Illinois, and let me tell you, it felt like springtime in my heart all over again. She cooked amazing meals. I'm not exaggerating. I'd eat 3 hearty helpings at dinner. The house was spotless, smelled like fresh linen and roasted chicken. She brought warmth and vitality into my space. I covered all the expenses, of course, and even gave her $1,000 every month for her own spending. Every day felt like a little adventure. We'd go to the farmer's market, take walks in the neighborhood, even started attending Sunday matinees at the local theater. Life was sweet. Then everything changed. Her grandson was born. Suddenly, she was gone more than she was home. She'd rush over to her son's house to help his wife with the baby. She cooked for them, helped with laundry, changed diapers, bathed the baby, all the things she used to do for me. She'd come home late, tired, distracted. I asked her, gently, if she could maybe stay home more. I missed our time together. She said the baby needed her, that her daughter-in-law was overwhelmed, and she couldn't just ignore her family's needs. I asked how long she thought this would go on. At least until he starts elementary school, she said. When he can walk to school alone and doesn't need me anymore. I did the math. That's 7, maybe 8 years down the line. I was nearly 70. I couldn't wait that long. So I made the painful decision to end the relationship. She took it well, all things considered. She quietly packed up and left without much fuss. And just like that, she was gone from my life. After that, I missed having someone around. So I hired a part-time housekeeper, Diane. She was divorced around my age and had one grown daughter who was married and lived in another state. Diane was cheerful, always had funny stories, and she was good at keeping things neat and cooking comfort food. Her work hours were 8 to 5, 5 days a week, and I paid her $3,000 a month. But over time, our conversations grew longer. We laughed more. She'd bring me homemade dumplings because she knew I loved them. Little by little, we developed a bond, something beyond employer and employee. I felt drawn to her. She had a kind heart, and I admired her strength. Eventually, I invited her to move in. I told her to give up her rental apartment and just stay with me. She agreed. I covered all the household expenses again and gave her $1,000 each month for her own spending. Things were good at first, but then the demands began. She said $1,000 wasn't enough, that if she had been earning $3,000 a month as a worker, why should she now settle for less just because we were emotionally involved? I didn't want arguments, so I agreed. I gave her $3,000 each month, but it didn't stop there. She asked me to marry her, said she wanted legal security, that if I passed before her, she'd at least have a roof over her head. That marriage would make her feel protected. But we had agreed explicitly that we would not marry. That was the deal. No license, no entanglements. Just mutual respect and companionship. Now she wanted to change the rules we had both set. I said no, firmly. She cried, pleaded, said she was wrong to ask, promised she'd never bring it up again. But the trust was broken. And in the back of my mind, I started to worry, what if she resented me? What if she did something reckless out of anger? I began to feel unsafe in my own home. So I ended it. And just like that, my second live-in relationship also ended in heartbreak. Now I sit here and wonder, were my expectations really too high? I didn't ask for much. Just a kind woman, a pleasant home, and a peaceful life together. No legal drama, no financial headaches. Just 2 people growing old together, sharing laughs, holding hands. So why did it all fall apart? Was I too picky? Too naive? Or did I just have rotten luck? Thank you for listening to my story today. I hope something in it resonated with you. If you've ever struggled with loneliness, with love after loss, or simply with growing older on your own terms, know that you're not alone. If you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Let's keep each other company, one story at a time. Let's grow together, love together, age together. I'll see you next time.